All right, so we've been looking at panning, and I just wanted to do another little example of panning where we're not using anything that is an interpretation of nature. It's just going to be typography, and you can create some interesting depth illusions even with something like typography. So I've put a bunch of E's on stage, and I grouped them into one symbol. And let's make sure that they are a movie clip. Go to my properties. Yes, it's a movie clip. So what I want to do is just copy this. And I've already got a couple layers here. I'm just going to paste it. And it doesn't want me to do that. Let's try paste. Paste in place. I'm just going to move that one down a little bit so I can differentiate them. And then I'm going to do the same thing on my background layer and put it even further down. So much like we did in the natural one with the hillsides, we're going to have our foreground going by faster, our background going by the least fast, and also make it appear to be more in the distance, make it a little smaller, make it a little blurry, and maybe make it a little bit transparent. So let's just start with the foreground. I'll hide my other two layers, and I'm going to have the foreground go from the extreme edge, and actually no saying we can't do that, and put on a tween, and then have at the other end of the motion tween have it go to the extreme other end so that we get a nice big motion on our first layer. Alright, so then the second layer, let's do them one at a time and hide them. I'm going to add a little bit of a blur to it and a little bit of alpha. So let's start by taking the opacity down a little bit and adding some blur. And I'm doing this before I even put the tween on so that it has that consistently. Okay, and motion wise, let's put our tween on there. I'm going to have it go maybe not so far. And go to the other end. Okay, so now that one moves. And together we should already start to see a little bit of depth. So it looks like almost like the light source is changing. I think I might change the opacity of that one a little bit more. Let's take the alpha down a little bit more. There, that looks good. And then last but not least, I'm going to work with my last E, and I will add the opacity all down even more and add a blur to it, perhaps even more than the last, so that it's really out of focus, and add our motion tween. Let's get it into position. So with this one, I don't want to even move it nearly as much. Let's try that again. So let's say we're only going to move from there to there. And let's take a look at what we've got here. So they're not as even perhaps in their motion. Let's move the, let's adjust our last one because it seems the most out of whack. All right. Move it in a little bit more at the beginning. And a little more also at the end. Beginning. And there we go. Test scene. And weird illusion of depth with type.